Hello and welcome to the training for Oracle Replenishment Planning Cloud product. Today we will discuss how to perform plan simulations. After completing this lesson, you should be able to describe how to perform plan simulations to improve plan performance, perform policy parameters changes, detail how to perform policy value changes, explain how to perform demand and supply changes, and discuss simulation sets and explain item attribute changes. Let us first start with introduction to overall simulation flow in replenishment planning. This diagram depicts the simulation flow in replenishment planning. Simulation sets provide a way for planner to override key parameters in supply chain execution systems. Some examples are item lead times, item cost components. Replenishment planning uses these planner overrides to perform plan simulations. Using simulation capabilities within replenishment planning, you can perform quick what-if simulations or resolve supply issues like item stockouts or low fill rates. You can then release the new planned orders to execution system. You can save the changes which you would have done at the segment level in the policy parameters. You can save it to policy assignment set. This topic discusses simulating changes to policy parameters. Manage policy assignment view enables you to review the input policy parameters defined at the segment level. You can decide to change these parameters for a segment which is underperforming in terms of projected fill rate and then simulate the impact of these changes on the segment level projected fill rate. For an example, you can change the safety stock calculation method from days of cover to service level based to see the change in safety stock calculation. Similarly, you can change any other parameters like safety stock days of cover or horizon for average daily demand to see if it improves the overall projected fill rate. After making the changes, you need to run the plan using the simulation plan option. The option is do not refresh with current data option. Since input policy parameters are changed, you will need to select calculate policy parameters option to recompute the policy parameters. Also select calculate replenishment option to generate replenishments based on the newly calculated policies. So for running any simulation, you need to select do not refresh with current data option. Once you are satisfied with the changes, you can use the plan action save changes to policy assignment set to save the changed policy parameters to the policy assignment set which is linked to this particular plan. So the next time when you run the plan, these changes within the policy assignment set are automatically picked up. You can review and choose which segments policy parameters need to be saved to the policy assignment set. So this view will show you at the segment level if you have made the changes and what changes to the policy parameters you have made. So it displays the original value and also the changed value. Once you are satisfied with this change and the result of this change, you can then decide to save changes for those policies within that segment. Now let us discuss simulating changes to policy values. You can simulate changes in policy values to resolve item stockout and fill rate issues temporarily. You can use adjusted policy measures to override and simulate new policy values. Depending on the policy type, you can use adjusted minimum quantity for making changes in minimum quantity measure. You can use adjusted maximum quantity for changes in maximum quantity. Similarly, you can use adjusted minimum days, adjusted maximum days For ROP-OQ policy, you can use adjusted ROP quantity and adjusted ROP days if the policies are in days. So these are the measures, adjusted measures you can use to simulate changes in the policy values. After making the policy changes, run the plan with do not refresh with current data option and with calculate replenishments, because you don't need to recompute policy parameters because you are making the changes in the policy parameters itself by overriding the policy values. Once you have run the plan, you can use replenishment workbench to view the plan output, and you can also use the simulation this replenishment workbench to simulate changes to time phase policy values in specific weeks to take care of increased demand on promotion event. So this view provides you a time phased view where you can decide to make changes in the policy values in a specific week. Now let us discuss simulating changes to supplies and demand. You can add a new supply to quickly simulate if it improves inventory levels and if it resolves stockout issue. You can add an anticipated demand to see if to see its impact on the overall inventory level. This table contains selected list of supply and demand attributes that influence the plan output. Apart from these attributes, you can also edit implement attributes and user nodes for release purpose. So you can basically change firm status, firm date, firm quantity, shipping method, source organization, supply and supplier site for a particular supply. You can add new demand on or supply using this create order dialog box for a quick entry of basically supplies and demands. If you want to manually add a new supply or a new demand, you can use this create order form. You can also use replenishment workbench to simulate changes to supplies and demand. You can change demand using any of these following measures like adjusted shipment forecast, gross forecast, or net forecast. And if you would like to modify supply, then you can use planned replenishment by due date measure to make changes in the supplies. This topic discusses simulating changes to item attributes. You can use simulation set to update item attributes on the planning side. You can then link the simulation set to the plan to perform simulations. Key attributes like item lead times, order modifiers can be changed to simulate changes in policy calculation and replenishment creation. As a planner, you can directly update the item attribute within a plan to perform what if simulations or to resolve stockouts or fill rate issues. So basically, there are two ways of item level simulation. You can directly simulate by changing these item attributes within a plan, or before running the plan itself, you can perform these item attribute level changes under a simulation set and then link that simulation set to the plan. This table depicts all the editable item attributes. If you edit item attributes in a simulation set, then these edit overrides the collected value, even if the value collected is more recent. For other attributes not edited in the simulation plan, the plan uses the values from the collected data. So attributes like standard cost, pre-processing lead time, order modifiers like minimum order quantity, maximum order quantity, FLM, all these attributes at the item level can be edited. This screenshot depicts how to use item page in the plan inputs to select items to add to a simulation set. So before performing item level attribute changes, you need to add that particular item to a simulation set. You can select an existing simulation set or you can create a new simulation set and then add that item to that simulation set. This screenshot shows how you can make mass updates to the simulation set. So you can select many items within a simulation set, and then if you want to change the item attributes which are common across various items, then you can do a mass update for those items using mass update feature. In the simulation set for items, the changed row appear as small dots in the left hand column and dots on the changed fields. Like you can see the small dot which actually indicates that standard cost for this item has been changed. This screenshot shows how you can incorporate the changes done within a plan into future plan by including them in a simulation set. So if you are directly changing the item attribute at the plan level, after making the changes, you can copy those changed attribute to simulation set. And then next time whenever you will use the simulation set within a plan, that change attribute will be taken into account. This slide summarizes the learning objectives we have covered in this lesson. You should have learned how to perform plan simulations to improve plan performance, perform segment level policy parameters changes, perform policy value changes, perform demand and supply changes, and also use simulation set and change item attributes. With this, we conclude this lesson. Thank you for listening.